The thoughts and opinions of this show is that of Drazy and does not coincide with all of Dre's Radio Cafe. Listening discretion is advised. Welcome to another episode of In My Opinion. Today's episode is a little bit of a throw off because it says women are dicks. The reason I've said that is, and you'll learn by the end of my opinion what I mean by that. But just a clarification of what I'm going to be talking about is, even though men are born with dicks, doesn't entitle them to be dicks. Oftentimes, men are given the excuse, oh, he's just being a man when they fuck up. A woman do the exact same, but can't use that excuse. Let me explain to you how I feel in this opinion. The reality behind it is that men are dicks. Men can be dicks sometimes. They really can. I'm not saying we're all the time we're dicks. We are made of a different breed. Women are so at some point underappreciated. I've learned it took me, honest to God, it took me having a princess in my life for me to look at the whole spectrum of women totally different. I'm not going to say I wasn't the greatest before, but I'm much better now. My opinion before was good. It was never a bad situation. It just grew to be more important to me as I sat and I watched a young lady progress to grow right before my eyes and made me appreciate things so much different. Let me explain to you. Guys are not by no form of fashion perfect. We all do some dumb ass shit. Excuse my language. And I try my best not to cuss as much as I can. I'm sorry. But we do some dumb stuff. And in the process of us doing these dumb things, sometimes we learn and sometimes we don't learn. We are all born with, guys basically are born with penises. Alright. And at times we use that as an excuse. We're just a man. I'm just a man. And we do screw up. We do make up mistakes. We do a lot of dumb things. Women, on the other hand, cannot use that as an excuse. And that is, that is not the typical, because the reason I say that is because women are more, in my opinion, are more powerful, are more restrained to whatever it is. If a woman falls and she doesn't say she needs help, we just assume she is a strong person. She can do it on her own. A lot of times they do need help and they won't say it, but they are strong. And I give them every bit of credit for what they do. I feel like they can't say, I'm just a woman and I'm like that. There's songs out there that portray and talk about these things. Talk about these things on different levels. What do I mean? There's songs that talk about how a woman can't go to a man and say, hey, I need sex now. I want it like this, that, and other. Because then in a stigma, it tells them that, gives them the impression that they are, I don't know a better word of saying it, makes them feel like they are hoes. If a guy says it, he says he wants something from a girl or whatever, it's just looked at as normal. And most of the times it makes them look like they are more than what they are. Makes them feel more dominant, makes them feel more, because a guy with a lot of girls is considered a player. A girl with a lot of guys considered, something other. And I'm not going to get deep into that, but it's not the same stigma to each other. It's not fair in certain ways. Now, if you turn and flip the page on everything, in my opinion, if you say a guy's a vagina, or the other word for vagina, it's a little bit different, because then it's a derogatory, bad name for them. And guys don't like to hear that name pointed to them in certain kind of ways. Just like they don't want to hear the word bitch. And I'm sorry I use the word bitch, but I don't like to hear the word bitch. It's the same thing with women. If you flip the page on that and they say that girl's a dick, do you think it bothers a woman that a guy calls or a girl calls another girl a dick, or a guy calls another girl a dick? I don't think it's that the same way. and it may be different. Like I said before, this is my opinion, and anything that I state in form of anything like this is basically me and just me talking. And it's just my honest opinion. I say this because I look at both sides of the fence. If I look at it from one angle or the next, it is what it is. So let me get deeper into this. Let's talk about the idea that we do as men, we screw up a lot in forms of fashions that is not fair for a lot of women. Women, depending on the person you're talking to and associate yourself with, there are things that can adapt and change the way people feel about other people using the word dick. All right. Men, we forget birthdays, we forget holidays, we forget certain days, we forget anniversaries. We're not good with numbers. We're not good with, some of us are not good with finances. Some of us are not good with, work ethics. Most of us are not good with, dealing with responsibilities different. I'll be honest with you. I am not a fan of a lot of pets. And the reason I don't like pets is because I feel it's another responsibility for me to deal with. And it is about the same as children, having dogs, having cats, having, animals around, shout out to everybody that does have pets. I have nothing against it. I can be around them. I can play with them. I can do whatever, but I don't want that responsibility. The reason I don't want that responsibility is because majority of the times when you indulge yourself in, this is just my opinion from a family perspective, if you take in a dog and everybody loves a dog or a cat or whatever, or a bunny or, sugar glider or baby monkey or whatever, finger monkey, whatever they call them, any kind of animal that you take in is a responsibility. In the very beginning, it is very simple because everybody wants to be around it, wants to hold it, wants to take care of it, blah, so and so. As it progresses, people don't want to be responsible for it. So what do? The kids, the mother, whoever don't want to be bothered with it, eventually neglects it, and the role takes on to whoever's there left over. So meaning, majority of the time, it's either the father, the boyfriend, whoever sees it as being neglected. And that becomes a responsibility, which in majority of the time was me. But that was my reasoning behind it. But back to the men's situation. We make a lot of mistakes in life, and a lot of the times we do it. And it's not forgetting just days, birthdays, things of that nature. In relationships, we do it as screw-ups. We accidentally go out and get drunk and sleep with somebody, and we go back to the person that we're with, and I'm just a man, because that is the stigma behind it. The stigma behind the idea that we make mistakes as human beings, as men. But them are not mistakes. Those are, we've in some form of fashion have had this thing not pre-planned or pre-organized or premeditated or anything like that. We just go through these things not thinking it sometimes, and that's not fair to your partners, not fair to whoever you're with, things of that nature. Women can't do the same thing and not feel like it is just okay to be like, okay, I'm just a woman, because it's not. A woman can do what she want to do. She's free will everybody. A woman can go out and be dating a man, accidentally go out with her homegirls, and I haven't never seen this movie before, but they can go out and party and have a good time or whatever, get wasted, and the next day don't remember what happened the day before, but been with a guy, and go home to their boyfriend or husband or whatever, and nonchalantly be like it's cool, and then think that it's okay. But she won't tell nobody that secret or say I did that, because guess what? She's not going to say I was this type of person, because then it's being labeled as something, and it's not what a lot of people want to be, indulged or labeled with. Now you can use different forms of fashions or things of like that nature, but that's another topic, another story, another ordeal or whatever. We as men can do that and go to a woman and say, I'm just a man, because guess what? The role is, and this is not everybody's role. The role is that we have to be satisfied in certain ways all the time. Not all men are like that. Not all men. Let me emphasize that. Not all men are like that. You've got men out there that want to be with one person only. You got men out there that want to be in swinging relationships. Then you got men out there that want to be in a relationship where they're with one person, but in reality they have one or two and don't let nobody know that other stuff. But you got them people that know different, and it just applies to the person that you deal with. We don't take in consideration that we hurt people sometimes by being this dick, alright? And it makes so much sense as you build yourself a better understanding of who you are, because at the end of the day, your character is only based off who you are. Doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. Everybody and their mama can think you're this villain. And shout out to Lamando Carter, made a very good point that, doesn't matter how good you think you are, or how wonderful of a person you think you are, you're always going to be somebody's villain in somebody else's story. And that's true. The reason I say that is because in this case of being particular, of being saying a dick, I am a dick. You can do 1,000,001 things that are fantastic, and to your friends, to your friends' friends, to everybody else, you're this amazing person. But to somebody else who does not give two flying F's about you, they will tell the next person to the next person to the next person to make them look better that you are this horrible person. And that person may not know you from a can of paint. Alright, I went through that. Not going to say when, but I went through that, and it wasn't the very best of things. And when the smoke cleared and things were realized, I wasn't justified or vindicted. I wasn't validated or vindicted or apologized to or any of that nature, because that person felt like they didn't have to do that for me. They didn't want to try to do that for me. I personally didn't expect that, and I don't want that. Never did, never wanted it, because I know what my value is and I know who I am as a character. But when you're talking about the idea of a man and making mistakes, we do that. We make mistakes, and we cover it by saying what? I'm a man. Now, a woman, on the other hand, cannot say the same thing. Can't go out and cheat on somebody. She can. It's all free will, free land, free whatever. Free will, free land, free life. She can, but it's not the same avenue. It's not the same way of thinking. It's not the same frame of mind. Take it to your girlfriends. Your girlfriends may think, oh, well, that's, it depends on the situation, how things go. If he's treating you like crap and you're not happy, then it's okay. But if you tell a man's going to be like, damn, this chick is, what I'm saying? And it is what it is. And then again, that man might think, no, it's no big deal. But that man's frame of mind is probably set on something totally different. Could be, could not be. I'm thinking to myself that at some point or another, we never really, truly understand what being a dick really is. Because guess what? A lot of us guys don't really, we overshadow that. And we don't look at it the same. The idea that we have to feel like we are this type of person just makes us feel so much different. I don't think, like, in any form of fashion, I am perfect by a long shot. I can tell you that. My first ex can tell you that. Second ex can tell you that. Third ex can tell you that. I was never perfect. Did I try to be? Yes, I tried to be. I screwed up. I used that same scenario. I was a man in my first marriage, and I apologized on that, asked for forgiveness on that, and I continue to move forward on that. And I feel freely about talking like this to y'all. None of this changes who I am. None of this changes my perspective of me. I'm always still going to be that same person. A lot of people may say they hate me. A lot of people may say I am this horrible person. A lot of people may think that I have not did myself an injustice by speaking on these things. But I feel like if it pushes the envelope and it helps somebody, whether male, female, understand male or female better, then know well to it. It's more better for that. A lot of people tell me that talking is key. Music is my life, but talking on this microphone is me. I can rap, sing, do whatever. I just feel more comfortable talking freely about life and liberty and opinionating things that are just me. So if this helps anybody, I appreciate that. But getting back to the frame of mind, if for any reason you think that it's okay to stigma a person off of whatever, you're wrong. And let me be the first to sit here and say, if you're listening to this and I've misjudged you or miscalculated or misinterpreted who you are as a human being, I'm sorry. Doesn't ever in any form of fashion give me the right to misvalidate you. Whether you think your situation is what it is or what it's not. Your situation is your situation because it is you. So listen, men can be dicks in a fashion that is unheard of and is heard of. What do I mean by this? Every day, let me tell you, when I first started my job at the restaurant, and a lot of people don't know where I work, but if you do know where I work, come say hi to me. When I worked in a restaurant, and I still do, man, I took a lot of pride in my job. It wasn't that I didn't care and I felt like I had this muscle, like I had this power, like I had this thing behind me. The power is nothing. The power means nothing. It is how you treat the people you deal with differently. Let me tell you, in the very beginning, everybody and anybody that worked with me said, Dre is a dick. You know what? I took that and I ran with it. Why? Because that was me. The manager before me that trained me, the manager before him that trained me, the servers, the trainees that trained me, all these people that were a part of my life and my circle then trained me to be this certain type of person. And this person, all the information that I instilled and took in and embedded in my body and took care of myself and went on through life, when I got them keys and that card, it changed how I was, because now I'm having to be an example of something much bigger. Instead of me being one part of a entity, I was a big part of that entity. It's like Voltron or anything that has to, or the Destructicons or the, whatever. Or you can say I was like a Power Ranger. Like it just didn't matter. Whatever part of that body that I was, whether I was the arm, the leg, the foot, the head, the earlobe, whatever. I was a part of something that was much bigger. And when I became that entity and got the keys in the car, it made me think. The keys and the card with a D. It made me more impressive of what I had to do. It made me be an example of something. So it meant I had to do more, be stricter, be more on my point. Because managers were always watching me doing what I was doing, which was not the easiest thing in the world. So that made me stronger. Made me much stronger. Did I like the idea that it was like that? No, I didn't. But it was what it was. People called me a dick. And I took it. I'm going to tell you why I took it. I took it because I was not mean. I was just more stern at what I was doing. Hey, make sure that's right. Make sure that's right. I was really particular of how things were done, because what was already instilled on me as being that manager, made me make sure that everything was done properly. And that was the thing. I had to do things properly. People didn't understand that. They just knew I was a dick. Let's fast forward now. Years later, I'm not that dick, because guess what? I've perfected what I've done. And it's not that I perfected it. It's just that now people didn't see it as being a dick. They just seen it as being a manager. And being a manager comes with responsibility. It's just like you tell a superhero, with great powers comes great responsibility. It's the same thing with running a restaurant. There's a lot of power back there. You have a lot of responsibilities on your back. If something goes wrong in the kitchen, something goes wrong in the back, something goes wrong, in the dish area, something goes wrong here, something goes wrong there. Guest ain't happy. Guest is choking. I had so much more responsibility now. People start learning that, hey, Drake has a lot more on his plate than we thought he had. And that made sense. So yeah, I was a dick at one point. But that dick eventually became something more. Now I've had people call me the vagina word at work and not at work, and out in public and in spats and fights and all that stuff, and it's not the greatest feeling in the world because it is not of my body, construction, but it was what it was. I don't like it, and that stigma is there, and it's just no different than being called a bitch. I mean, I wouldn't call a female that I'm arguing with the N word or, a B word or anything like that. Because I don't think that would be justifiable. And I'm not talking about just bitch. I'm talking like bastard or, whatever. But it's not justifiable. But I understand when you're coming from, you're saying women can't use that stigma, can't use that frame of mind. And it's true. I mean, we can't call you pussies and you be like, oh my God, he called me a pussy, but I got one. It may not be the same term or fashion. It's a thing of representation of who you are. You have to think broader mind things than that. You may feel like you are this type of person. You're not. I think to myself every day, I'm addicted to somebody because I can either be sarcastic, I can be quiet, I can be non-judgmental, and I'm learning to be more non-judgmental to people because nowadays our generation has changed, evolved over the years. Back then, when you were judgmental of people really took in consideration what you're saying to them. Now they just, oh my God, he's so judgmental to me. He makes me feel a certain way, and I don't want to be like that, but I am, or whatever the case may be. And it's being judgmental now doesn't really. The frame of mind is just different. Over years we go through things that just changes who we are, and it's not the same, and it really isn't. It's really not. But the reality behind it is that we live in a world where. Excuse me, I didn't realize I had you monoed, part mono, I'm sorry, part one ear and part not one ear. But anyway, I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, like, we've evolved to the point where now we're just so different, so laxed off in the point of not thinking of like who we really are. And it's all because of the generations. When you say the word dick now, it's a different meaning than what you would say dick like 23 years, 24 years ago. Go back a century, and a half, 2.5 centuries back. Or go back, go back a little ways. Go back 25 years and think about it. If you say the word dick then compared to what you say dick now, does it really mean the same thing? When we talk about women being dicks, that I'm really reframing to the idea that, and this is where I'm getting to before I get to the end of my episode. When you get to the word of saying women are dicks, and that was what I was saying before, is that you can't use that same frame of mind, that same stigmata for a lot of things. And it's honest to God truth. Women be labeled different if they do whatever. A lot of men, if you're around a lot of men, that makes you a whore or makes you, an nympho or whatever you may want to call yourself, or may not want to call yourself, but whatever you want to call it, because it's not you, and it may not be you. And I've been judgmental to a lot of people and things that I say. But women can't use that same frame of mind, you know. And the thing about it is, they may just want to be that type of person. They want to be around people that are intimate or not. Let me reframe intimacy, because I got to go on a different story of that. But when you get past the idea of just may want to be with a guy and be in the presence of a guy and get a guy's touch or feel whatever, and that may be the situation. Who knows? I'm not in that. That's just my opinion. So you can say you're a dick. Guys can't say that to a woman and feel like it's okay, because like I said before, we make mistakes. We're cool. I'm not saying we're cool. We make mistakes. We're not cool. We are not entitled to that. We do it without the frame of thinking sometimes, and it's judgmental in our own sense. You know, women don't want to be around a man, and it makes sense now. Let me get to this real quick. Women don't want to be around a man that's been around a lot of women, because then that makes us feel like we're whores. And there's such things as that too. Men whores. I mean, some women and some generations call that pimping, but it's not pimping. It's just being around a lot of women, making you no different than women being around a lot of men. It's the same thing. We just see it different in different eyes, because guess what? Because guys look at it different than women do, and women look at it different than. But you have to look at it from a full spectrum too. What about the LGBTQ community and all that? The lesbian communities, you know, just going around the board. How do we look into that in different forms of fashion? Does another woman call another woman that because they've been with another woman or another man on top of what they've already been through? Same thing with men. What did a man call another man if he's been with another man, been with another man, been with another man? This scenario and this story can go on forever, in the philosophy that it is what it is, because women and men, and what it basically will go based off what your opinion is and what your relationship is. If your relationship is women with women, is it the same as women with men as compared to men with men compared to a man with a woman? The board is the spectrum is wide open, and we don't change how we are or do how. It's basically based off of reality. If I had a broader perspective of this and how we look at it, then it would be so much different. But you cannot, in no form of fashion, think that for one moment that this is just all about men, because it's not all about men. Men can be dicks. You can't put that stigma on a woman. You can't say a woman has been a vagina, because basically they got that part, but that doesn't mean that they're that person. It's just the same as anything else. If you say it vice versa now, if you say a man was a vagina, it's a different feel. If you say a woman was a dick, I don't know if it was a different feel or not, because it may be and it may not be. It's just my opinion. I do know that in the end of the day, if a woman feels like she wants to be with a different man or be with a different person or whatever they choose to be with, if we classify that, or we give it this, you know, we're just opinionating it from our own perspective. It's all what a matter of how you feel at the end of the day, or who you are. And at the end of the day, you find love or happiness or peace and blessings or whatever in whatever you're doing. It's all about you. It's not about us. Plain and simple. Listen, I'm getting ready to get up out of here. I know I probably wasted, and I hope I didn't waste it, a good half an hour of your time. Hopefully I gave you some insight on what a man thinks sometimes and how a man opinionates some things. I am no form of fashion racist. No longer, in no form of fashion am I prejudiced about anything. I am judgmental. I do make bad decisions. I do make bad mistakes. I do say things out of nature that is not of my nature. And I can contest to apologizing and making things better if I have to. These are all my opinions. I thank y'all so very much for listening. If it helps you, may it bless you. God first, protect, provide, spread love, and get your money. Alright. Until next show, I thank you for listening. Send me your feedback, drezey21 at yahoo.com, or if you're listening to this on Spreaker Radio, feel free to leave your comments below. Please add me as a friend, share, like, whatever the case may be. And until next show, peace.